Cartoons based on toys. With millions of dollars in toy sales at stake, the toy companies aren't just battling for the hearts and minds of children. What they're really after is the money in your wallet.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Children's TV has been grossly over-commercialized, but the subtle message that's being sent is obvious. Buy me. Buy me.
The toy company that helps make that program possible has as its main goal the sales of that toy.
The battle over children's cartoons is on. The senators and congressmen and children's activists versus the toy companies whose cartoons saturate the airwaves. Transformers, GoBots, Wuzzles, Snorks, Popples, and Thundercats. They're all toys, and they're all available in your local toy store. Cartoon producers have licensed their characters for toys since the 1950s, but the cartoons always came first. In 1983, Mattel, a toy company, successfully introduced for the first time a cartoon based on a toy, He-Man.
He-Man, are you all right?
Yes.
It was a big hit, and since then, there have been more than 70 toy-based cartoons. Peggy Charon, head of Action for Children's Television, or ACT, has tried to stop them.
There have been 70 programs made, many with 65 episodes, that are in effect toy commercials, which means that if you want to do, say, a biography of Helen Keller these days, you got to talk Mattel into making a Helen Keller doll first. That's not fair.
History in this country has basically said, let the American public decide for themselves, and basically they do. They vote with the television clicker.
To Matt Bousquet of Mattel, the toy cartoons are no different than a show like Sesame Street.
If you go into a store and Mrs. Smith is walking along, is she not going to pick up a He-Man doll and say, no, that's bad for you, Johnny, because the toy came out before the television show, but then stand there and pick up a toy that, for instance, Sesame Street, and say, now this is wonderful for you because the show came out before the toys? I guess I don't understand the difference. It seems to be a fallacious argument.
The difference between Sesame Street and what ACT is complaining about is the difference between programs that have something to say and programs that have something to sell. And anybody with any brains can figure out which is which.
The sheer number of toy cartoons glutting the market has caused their ratings to sag. But Sharon and her allies are afraid that the toy companies, in search of greater profits, will simply regroup and come back with a new wave of made-for-TV toys. For the moment, the low ratings have created an opening. Kids are up for grabs, and major animators are coming back to TV to try to capture them with something different.
I'm an artist, and I thought better artistic things possibly could be done for children.
Ralph Bakshi became notorious in the 1970s for the first X-rated cartoons for adults. He dropped out of the film world for 4 years to paint. Now he's back with a Saturday morning cartoon for kids.
Here I come to save the day.
The character is 15 years old, but everything else is new. It's Mighty Mouse with a twist.
Here you are, Pearl, safe and sound.
Honestly, Mighty Mouse, I could have walked to work, you know.
Bakshi is bringing sophistication and satire to a medium that is usually about as subtle as a car crash.
Well, what's that in your belly button? Hey, what's that in your nose?
But it's not just the satire that's different. Children's cartoons don't usually look like this. It's an episode called Witch Tricks.
Witch Tricks was just trying to do a visual delight for kids. In other words, it was very abstract. It was just trying to create a total child environment, nightmarish quality, what kids dream about.
I gotta keep relating to the fact that the cow has this egotistical problem with Mighty Mouse and he's a
The critics praise Mighty Mouse, but like any other cartoon producer, Bakshi is struggling for ratings. What do you look for in a children's story?
Imagination, humor, intelligence, a little bit of outrage. One of the things about comic books and comic strips when they first started, kids used to read them because they were anti-social in a sense. They were the thing that kids had that adults never had. What you have to do with kids is give them their own world.
Toy-based cartoons. What do you think of toy-based cartoons?
Well, first of all, I'm not opposed to merchandising after the fact. In other words, if a kid legitimately loves something, maybe it's good for him to get his hands on it. What I'm opposed to is when people other than cartoonists create a toy and then basically try to have a cartoon made about the toy, because that's a running commercial.
Does it hurt kids watching that stuff?
Of course it hurts kids watching that stuff. There's no love involved. You know what I'm saying? Love is a very important factor, and kids love Bugs Bunny. They love Mickey Mouse. They love Mighty Mouse. There's got to be a question of loving something first, not a question of just being saturated. These things aren't loved, and I think that's their great danger. They're very cold items.
Children have loved these characters for 2 generations.
Yeah.
Disney, a name synonymous with quality in animation, is also trying to take the airwaves back from the toy companies. So far, it's succeeding. DuckTales is the #1 syndicated cartoon.
Hello, Webber Walters from Duck Week magazine.
Miss Walters.
Our company has always been dedicated to a certain kind of storytelling and kind of character in animation that's alive and funny and has heart and real emotions.
Gary Kreisel of Disney came up with the idea for DuckTales. How are the values different in DuckTales than they are, say, in G.I. Joe or He-Man?
The values in DuckTales spring from more normal relationships between characters.
For instance?
Family relationships between Scrooge McDuck and his kids, that the adults care about the kids, that the center of their lives are not about warlike activities. DuckTales has big adventures, so it has some of the same elements that you see in the boys' action shows, but they're done with a sense of humor.
If that chopper leaves the ground and you're not with them, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon, and for the rest of your life. Here's looking at you, Feathers.
I consider that we have a wonderful advantage at Walt Disney because the company has given us big budgets and said, don't even think about toys. Just make as good a show as you guys possibly can.
Launchpad, save your breath for the hike.
Okay, I think it's a little bit harsh for Dewey. Let's add Launchpad. Maybe.
The Disney studio has the luxury of attracting some of the best talent.
And when you are done, toupee will be mine once more.
13 weeks of DuckTales cost about $20 million to produce, and with good reason. In the end, from 15 to 20,000 cells like this one are painted for a single episode of DuckTales, compared to half that for some of the toy-based cartoons.
The number of cells, the number of drawings, the quality of the artist doing the drawing, all enable the character to act more.
While Disney's insistence on quality pays off in high ratings, that demand for ratings keeps some extraordinary animation off the TV screen. This is the story of Dr. DeSoto, a mouse dentist.
Dr. DeSoto was especially popular with the big animals.
Please, have mercy. I'm suffering.
Dr. DeSoto has a moral dilemma. If he treats the suffering fox for a toothache, will the fox eat him and Mrs. DeSoto?
That poor fox. What shall we do?
This film, nominated for an Academy Award, was made by a small company called CC Studios. CC Studios has made over 100 films from the classics of children's literature. But you won't see these films on network television because they just can't grab the instant ratings of a G.I. Joe.
I think that the animators today are more upset with what children's television looks like than I am, because they know what it could look like if they were given the lead to make it look wonderful.
Saturday morning is losing audiences. Saturday morning could be the greatest place in the world for cartoonists to operate out of. Saturday morning could be the hugest delight on television. Saturday morning could be so great it could be put on Saturday night.
Here he comes to save the day.
Kids know if something's good or bad. Quality will always win given the chance.
So